First of all, it's fantastic to be back, despite the weather, Phil. I always love coming back to Wellington, which I consider my hometown. And I'm very privileged that for once I've actually been able to time my visit in a way that I'm here on a Monday to catch up with old and dear friends. So great to see many, many of you, a few new faces. And when I'm back, hopefully middle to late next year, I'll get an opportunity to meet the new members as well. So I've been away for 4 years now, based in Los Angeles, and I started out looking after NZTE's North and South American trade and investment activities. And that kept me very busy, and Peter knows this quite well. South America in particular has done remarkably well. We've been able to really increase opportunities for New Zealand in that part of the world, so much so that we've been able to split up my territory, if you like, and for South America to become a self-sustained region because of the level of activity that we're now having in that part of the world. So for the last 18 months, I've only looked after North America, so I look after Canada and the US and Mexico, and that in itself still keeps me very, very busy. And I have to say I feel very fortunate that I'm here today listening to my good friend Phil O'Reilly giving his address on the economy and his perceptions of the world economy in particular, because it's allowing me now to just pick up on a few themes and maybe expand on your comments, Phil. First of all, I'm a very big believer of always having to look beyond what I call the headlines. I think it's in particular important for us as a small country to make sure that we sometimes don't get too scared or too blindsided by what we pick up in the world news. Because at the end of the day, I think if I look at the businesses that I encounter time and time again, what strikes me is that there's always a wealth of opportunity for New Zealand all around the world. What it comes down to is being capable and really being well prepared and well funded to take up these opportunities. So one of the key messages that I always give when I come back to New Zealand and talk to the New Zealand business community is that wherever you may go, there is a profitable business to be had. So just picking up on a couple of comments that Phil made, the US confidence in the business community is increasing, there's no doubt about that. You also then see some what I would call not so nice things happening in parallel, which is similar to what we've also experienced here in New Zealand, housing prices going up again. I mean, I'm quite fortunate, I live in Santa Monica, and I have to say some of the house prices that I've just observed jumping 20-30% over the last couple of years, it's now getting to an unsustainable level, I feel. That's going to bring other issues with it. But by and large, the confidence within the US community in particular is increasing. And what that means is that they're looking at international partnerships, they're looking at investment opportunities for themselves, which is where we then can come in and talk about New Zealand and give a perspective of what many, many wonderful things that we offer in this country as well. So before I come back to that, the other bigger ticket items, Phil mentioned TPP. That's one that's keeping us occupied as well. There's still a lot of work to be done, but we think it's a matter of when it's going to happen. So we're starting to think about, how do we really implement this? What does it actually mean for the New Zealand business community? What do we need to do, think about to make the New Zealand business community ready to take on these additional opportunities that will come from that agreement. So that's just a big piece of work that we're working on, not just within NZT, but also our partners of MFED and other government agencies that are operating internationally. Specific to the US, another big initiative that we have is hoping to keep negotiating on the visa front so that we will have access as a country to the E1 and E2 business visa category. We are one of the few countries that I feel should have access to that and don't have it yet in the US. So we're quite busy trying to have those discussions with the US government. We're very cautious because we're not wanting it linked to their immigration issues that they're facing with. But it's looking quite promising, so hopefully that's going to be a win for us, which will be of enormous benefit to the New Zealand business community who wants to better entrench itself in the US in particular. And then just a final comment, which, because I know I have some MFED colleagues here in the room as well, the one big thing that we're supporting is New Zealand's campaign for the Security Council that we're all hoping to achieve. So there are some activities in that space that we're supporting as well from an NZTU perspective. But coming back to the businesses that we're working with, I just wanted to probably pick up on the services slide that you put up, Phil, because I think you had New Zealand and Australia up there. What I wanted to say in particular is that the US is incredibly important for our services business here in New Zealand. The statistics are looking very, very well. There's very strong growth in the services sector in particular, not just the traditional trade sector. So I feel very confident that that's certainly one part of the economy that is not just doing well here and as compared to Australia, but also if I look at what happens in the US in particular. So incredibly important sector for us and one that we spend a lot of time on. The technology sector is another one that I just want to highlight in particular. Being based on the west coast of the US, I have to say that I spend a lot of time in San Francisco in the Silicon Valley, and what's happening there is just amazing. There's just so many businesses popping up, there's a lot of funding that is available, and we're seeing more and more New Zealand companies coming into that part of the US as well and doing incredibly well. I think we were also fortunate with the America's Cup and the profile that we were able to gain through that to really have already a foothold in that part of the US, so that we come and talk about New Zealand technology. It's kind of understood that we have something to show for, which is really, really great. So we have about 40 New Zealand technology businesses that are pretty much permanently based now in San Francisco and in its surroundings. We're very, very fortunate that we have the Kiwi Landing Pad, which is a private sector-led New Zealand Inc. footprint in San Francisco City that businesses can work out of. My own team is based in the Kiwi Landing Pad. I'm slowly increasing our footprint into San Francisco as well. And the team there is incredibly busy, just making sure that we take advantage of those connections that we can really make. So by and large, I would say that business is looking up, also for New Zealand business looking into North America and the US in particular. I certainly can tell you that we're getting more and more businesses coming our way and keeping us and my team very, very busy. But as I said, I'm always pleased to come back here and actually even find out about more innovative businesses that we can support going forward. So I hope I will see some of you, if you are traveling through LA at some point, and reach out to me and catch up with me in my new home turf, so to speak. But as I said, hopefully I'll be back middle next year, and we'll spend more time with all of you. So great seeing you, and I'll see you next year sometime. Thanks.